Hello and welcome to the Ellenmade Book Club. Today we're doing something fun just because I want to do something fun. We're doing a scavenger hunt to decide which book I read next. I've been seeing these scavenger hunts all over BookTube and they seem like so much fun. I saw Florence Harvey do this and I'm going to use the list of prompts that she used and I'm going to link her video and channel and all of that below so you can go and watch that because it was really fun and I want to play too. So that's what I'm gonna do. So if you're not familiar with the concept, it's a list of 10 prompts and each prompt leads you from one book to the next. And then at the end of the 10 prompts, you arrive at the book that you will be reading. And it just seems like so much fun. So I just want to try it. We'll see what happens. So like I said, there is a list of 10 prompts and they are in a specific order. But I figure, just to make it a little bit extra random, I'm going to be using a random wheel picker thing for the different prompts so that I have no way of knowing where I'm going next. I've put all of the prompts except for the first one in here so that I have something to start with, and then we'll just spin the wheel and see what happens. I'm so excited. Okay, I have books all around me. I don't know. Okay. So the first prompt is find your favorite book of last year and find a book you would recommend to someone who likes that book. I didn't think that far ahead. Okay. So the only thing I've prepared is found my favorite book from last year, which was very easy because I only read like 3.5 books last year. And those were The Secret History, which I didn't really like, The Men, which I didn't really like either. And then I started Circe, but I'm counting that as my first 2024 read. And so my favorite read from last year was The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. And so which book would I recommend to someone who liked this? So in The Measure, we follow, I think it's 8 different people, and there's a bit of a sci-fi element where everybody wakes up to a box with a string inside, and that string tells you how long your life is going to be, and you can choose to open the box or not open the box and find out, how long your life is going to be and what you're going to do about that. I think that if you like this book, you might be a person who would also enjoy Big Little Lies by Leon Moriarty, which is apparently how you say her first name, not Leanne. Bonnie at Bonnie Nicole Wrights taught me that. This has nothing to do with sci-fi or, the time aspect or anything like that, but I think that it's a similar kind of person who would enjoy both of these books. They both kind of have the same level of emotional depth, I would say, and they follow different characters, and there's like dilemmas and intrigue between people, and also like heartwarming things and friendship and relationship and things like that. So I think that if you like one of these, you might like the other one. So I'm going with that. Okay, so let's find out what the next prompt is by spinning the wheel. Okay, I should probably record this as well. So now we are recording and I'm going to go okay. Count the number of letters in this book's title, then pick a random spot on your bookshelf and count that number of spaces. So we're going to count the number of letters in Big Little Lies, and then I'm going to go with the English titles. If I have Swedish books, I'm going to use the letters in the English title, I think. Or is that weird? Should I just do the Swedish title because I have it in Swedish? I guess that's easier because then I can count on the book. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, and so I guess I'm just gonna go left to down. And so I guess, I don't know, here? Okay, so Leanne Moriarty, 3 wishes.
Not Leanne. Leanne Moriarty.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. While Justice Sleeps by Stacey Abrams. It's a political legal thriller set in Washington, if I remember correctly. Okay, so this is our next book, and let's find out what the prompt is. And I'm still recording. So we're gonna spin the wheel again. Find a book with the same color scheme as the book you're currently holding. So this is kind of teal, black, and white. Okay, so I think I found a pretty good match. This is a Swedish book. It's called Herravälde by Elin Olofsson. And I think those are pretty similar. They have white text, a little tiny bit of red, and then the bluish teal color. So this is going to be my next book. And I forgot to stop recording again. A new spin. Okay, number 7. Find a book with the same number of words in the title as your current book, but it must be a different genre. So it looks like this one has 2 words, but it really just, it's just one word, Herravälde. It's a one-word title in a different genre, and so this is historical fiction, and I'll just go with Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This is also a one-word title. I'm not going to talk about what this is about because if you don't already know, you shouldn't know anything. You should just read it, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. So let's see what the next clue is. Spin. Spin. Let a random number generator pick a page in this book and pick a book title with a word from that page. So this has 245 pages. I have set from 1 to 245 and I will press generate and it says 148. Pick a book title with a word from that page. So what was it? 148? World. World? I'm not going to count like the. Observed. Back. Back. Boat. River. River. River spirit. Okay. The world observed them back if, for example, they traveled in a boat on a river. So that leads us to River Spirit by Leila Abolela. I haven't read this yet. It's set in 1880s Sudan. I'm very curious to read this. But yeah, let's find out what our next prompt is. Okay, no. Stop it. This one doesn't count because I didn't have it on. No. I didn't even look what that was. So we've got number 5, reverse the page count of this book and find a book with as close to that number of pages as possible. So this one has 304. So we'll reverse that and that's 403. I found one that has 402. And that book is Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati. And so this will be the book that we use for the next prompt. And I, again, forgot to stop recording. Spin again. 4 prompts left. Find a book published in the same year as the book you're currently holding. 2023. So that should give me plenty of options. Maybe this one? Yeah, okay, perfect. So, what was I saying? So another book that was also published in 2023 was The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. This is set in 1972. There's a town. African Americans and Jews are living side by side. There was a crime that happened. I haven't read it yet, so I don't really know much more than that, but it was published in 2023, so that will suffice for our next prompt. And I'm still recording. 3 prompts left. Spin. Okay. So this is number 8. Go to the acknowledgements and find a book written by an author with the same name as one of the people listed. So we're going to the acknowledgements in this book, and let's see what names are mentioned. Cy Friend, Vinnie Carissimi, Bob Arch. There aren't a lot of names in this acknowledgement. Come on, thank some people. Bob, Vinnie, Bill, Leo, Vera. There are like 5 names in the acknowledgements of this book, so I'm going to spin again and pick another prompt because like there are just very few names. Let's just spin again. Oh, I didn't record. Sorry. It's on number 4. Find a book with the same or most similar initials as the author of the book you're currently holding. So I'm looking for an author with the initials JM, and I found this one. Where are you? This is Jojo Moyes, and this is Me Before You. I haven't read this yet, so I'm not really sure what it's about, but it will serve as a basis for our next prompt. Let's record again. There are so many things to keep in mind when doing this. 2 prompts left. Find a book with the most opposite cover elements to the one you're currently holding. Let me look for a little bit. Okay, so I think I found a pretty good match, or like opposite cover. So this one has lots of green with a little bit of red. There's a lawn, but like there's a castle or kind of building. There's a person on it. And so I thought that this cover was kind of opposite. It does have that like streak across the middle, but like on the color wheel, this one would be pretty much opposite colors with the red and yellow, compared to this one, which is like green and blue. And the text is white instead of black, and there are no houses or people on this. It's just nature, and so I think that this one would be a good option. This one is The Mountains Sing by Nguyen Phan Huy Mai. I'm still working on that pronunciation. I'm not going to get it perfect, but something along those lines. This is set in Vietnam in 1972. There is a little girl and a grandmother who are trying to get through the war. And yeah, haven't read this yet, but very excited to. And let's see where we are going to go from this. Okay, so now we only have 1 prompt left, and that is the one that we skipped before, but I'm gonna spin anyway, just so I can read it. Go to the acknowledgements and find a book written by an author with the same name as one of the people listed. And then that's the book that we read. So we're gonna go to the acknowledgements of The Mountains Sing. Oh, there are a lot of Vietnamese names in this. Like, of course there are. I'm gonna try to find, I don't have any other Vietnamese authors that I'm aware of, so we'll just try to find a name that I can find in my collection or that I know of. Hans, no. Bruce, no. Sarah, Philip, Zoe, Anne O'Brien, Laura Morgan, Michelle Scowcroft, Mary Chisholm, Joe Lavelle, Suzanne, Michael Mackenzie, Elizabeth. I do have Sarah. Okay. Is that the same one? Can't be the same one. No, Sarah Perry. Paul. Do we have a Paul? No Paul. So for John, I have Looking for Alaska by John Green, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. So I guess we have these 3. This one I think is a bit YA. It's not very long. It's a best-selling author of The Fault in Our Stars. And then I have The Essex Serpent, which is historical fiction with like some kind of a mystery. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, which is a forgotten history, a secret network of women, a legacy of poison and revenge. I feel like this will be the most fun, and I've been wanting to read some more fun books, and so maybe I'll just go with this one. Okay, I will go with The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Hidden in the depths of 18th century London, a secret apothecary shop caters to an unusual kind of clientele. Women across the city whisper of a mysterious figure named Nella, who sells well-disguised poisons to use against the oppressive men in their lives. But the apothecary's fate is jeopardized when her newest patron, a precocious 12-year-old, makes a fatal mistake, sparking a string of consequences that echo through the centuries. That seems like a fun time, and I've been wanting to read this for a long time. And so, yeah, this is the book that I will read. I have now finished The Lost Apothecary, and I want to tell you my thoughts on it. So in this story, we follow 3 different characters in 2 timelines. In 1791, we follow Nella, who is the apothecary who has this apothecary shop where she sells poisons and remedies to women, sometimes to help them with their health and sometimes to poison men who are making their life bad in different ways. The other character is Eliza, who is a 12-year-old girl. She comes to this shop for a client who wants to buy poison from Nella, and then Eliza ends up sort of helping out in the shop and becoming involved in some things. And then in the present timeline, we follow Caroline, who has come to London on her 10-year anniversary trip, but she's come alone because something happened with her husband, and she used to study history, so she's interested in history, and she finds something that makes her curious to find out more, and she starts doing some research about this thing, and that thing is obviously related to the apothecary shop. That's basically the setup for the story. Overall, I had a really good time with it. It's a pretty easy, quick read, I would say, and fun for the most part. It's not like funny, and it's not lighthearted, but it's not super deep and heavy either. It does deal with a lot of issues and like female experiences and problems that we still have to this day and that women have always had in terms of how they're treated by men. The issues themselves are serious ones, but I don't think that the book reads very heavy unless you're triggered by those things. The plot isn't too complicated and the writing is pretty simple and digestible. The characters are, they have some depth to them and they are distinctive from each other, but they're not super deep and super complex. It's a fun enough time, still dealing with topics that are interesting to me. So in that sense, it was pretty much a perfect book for me. It was still, you know, emotional enough for me to care, but simple and lighthearted enough for me to not be completely brought down by it. And it was also a pretty quick read. I think I finished this in 2 or 3 days. Looking back, I think I had expected more clients and like more sort of episodes about different women coming to this shop for different reasons and sort of hearing their stories and hearing why they needed poison and like how that all played out. And it's not that. So if that's what you want, you might be disappointed in this book. I wasn't disappointed, it was just different from what I had expected. The whole story plays out in just a few days in present timeline and a few days in the past. The chapters are quite short and they alternate between the different characters. So one chapter will be from Nella's point of view and then one from Eliza's and then one from Caroline. But not a lot happens in between the chapters, so we might be in a chapter in Nella's point of view and then skip ahead to the present day, and then when we come back to Nella, we're still in the same conversation that we were the last time we were there. So that felt a little bit slow to me at first, and I was like, is nothing gonna happen? Or it's just, I thought we were gonna like jump ahead a little bit more in between the chapters, and I thought that the story was going to play out over weeks, if not months or years. And that was fine. It just took a little bit for me to adjust my expectations to the reality of the book. The writing wasn't the best I've ever read, but it's also not like the worst. Sometimes there were things that were like little details, like maybe there were 2 sentences in a row and they both ended in perhaps, like a very specific word that was repeated, and it's just, that's the kind of thing that I would react to, and like, why would you say perhaps twice in a row? And it wasn't like, it didn't seem intentional. So it was just little things like that. And sometimes the language was maybe a little bit like over-explaining things. It would explain things like she was looking at a photo on her phone and used 2 fingers to zoom in on the picture. And I just, like, it's from 2021, so I feel like we don't have to explain how to zoom in on a photo on a phone. It's just minor things like that that just seem unnecessary. Like, I know how to zoom in on a photo. You don't have to explain the technicalities of how to do that. So yeah, just little things like that. So the things I liked about this book was how quick and easy it was to read. It was an engaging enough story for me without like bringing me down in any way. I also think it showed kinship between women throughout the ages in a very nice way, and it mentioned a lot of different experiences and things that women have had to deal with throughout time. So yeah, I liked that part about it. I also liked the thought process of the characters, at least sometimes. Like, the 12-year-old had a thought process of a 12-year-old, and Caroline had thoughts that I had as a reader, and like, well, you can't do that because maybe that's gonna happen, and like, then that was a voiced concern of hers as well. There were parts that were relatable in that sense, or like that made sense in that sense. And then there were some things in the plot that felt like a little bit weird, or maybe like how the characters reacted that didn't really fit how I would have reacted maybe. So I will include a little spoiler section, and if you don't want to hear them, you can just skip ahead to the next chapter. So the first couple things relate to Caroline, who is in the present timeline. And the thing that happened with her husband is that he cheated on her and had an affair for months, or lied to her at least for months. But her reactions weren't maybe what I thought they would be at all times. Like, she did go on this anniversary trip alone because she wanted to go to London and he had cheated on her, and she was just like, I'm gonna go on this trip and you can't come. And I think that was a good decision. But then he follows her there. He doesn't ask permission to come. He doesn't respect her wishes to be alone and like get away from him for like 10 days or whatever this trip is. Like, he shows her no respect at all. And he's just immediately like super sorry and like, I'm gonna stay in your hotel room. And like, she lets him sleep on the couch in their hotel room. And like, I get that after 10 years of marriage, you're not just gonna stop loving a person, but like, you really have to share a hotel room with that person. Get another room. Like, he also acts like grumpy that she's not catering to his wishes more. Like, he's mad that she went alone, and it's just like, you messed up and cheated on her, and now you're gonna have demands on how she should behave. Like, I don't think that you have that right anymore. Right now, you're gonna have to earn your way back to that, if even that's possible. I just feel like Caroline might have had a stronger reaction to all of that, and he spent like $3,000 for a last-minute ticket from the States to London, and she was like a little bit annoyed by that he spent so much money on that ticket. Like, I would have been furious. Okay, anyways. She also has this inner monologue where she keeps comparing her secret of this research that she's doing on the apothecary shop to his secret, which is having an affair. Like, those two things are not in the same universe. Like, maybe if you're having a secret hobby and not telling your spouse about it in a normal setting, that might be a little weird. Like, why wouldn't you tell your partner about a hobby or like an interest that you have? But in this case, she has gone on a trip to get away from him because he cheated on her. And while she's on this trip, she just comes across something that interests her, and so she starts exploring that. I don't think that she's obligated to talk about that with her cheating husband at this time. She was like, it's so ironic that I'm on this trip to escape his secret, and now I'm having secrets of my own. It's like, yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. My other annoyance has to do with the past timeline and this mistake that Eliza makes. It says in the description on the back that this 12-year-old makes a mistake that's gonna echo through the ages. And this mistake is just so stupid. Like, this is an apothecary shop that sells poisons, and so they're not gonna put like their branding on the bottles of poison that they sell. They're gonna keep it pretty anonymous. They do have a little symbol on them, but like they don't have the name of the shop or anything like that. The apothecary, Nella, has talked to Eliza about this, and like they're both aware that it's very important that this shop stays secret. And then they have a client, and Nella asks Eliza to pick out a bottle to put the poison in. And for some reason, this girl goes to the cupboard that's the farthest away, and she grabs a bottle from the back and brings it out. And it has like markings on it, and she doesn't like read them, but it turns out to be the address of the shop, and puts the poison in that and then gives it to the client. And then it all, other things happen. Why would she pick out that bottle of all of the bottles when she knows that they always sell the poison in the bottles that only have the little symbol and not anything else? Like, it's so stupid. And why wouldn't Nella, the grown-up in this situation who runs this shop and is like, her life depends on it basically, like, why wouldn't she check the bottle that this child has chosen? Why would she put her life at risk like that? It's so dumb. And like, if it was just one of many things that happened, it would maybe have been fine. But it's such a crucial part of the story, and it's like the whole thing that sets things in motion. And it's just really like, couldn't she have grabbed the wrong ingredient or something, or like given it to the wrong person, or I don't know, like done something thinking that she was doing the right thing, and like saying something that she shouldn't have because she was doing what she was told, but it turned out to be like a specific case or something. I just feel like it could have been so many other things that would seem a little bit more believable than her like going out of her way to pick out a bottle with an address on it. It was just, it seemed very stupid to me. So those were a couple of things that were annoying to me, but I still, like, I'm not too serious about this book. It's just a fun time and a decent story, so like it doesn't bother me that much that there were a couple of things in the plot that didn't make sense to me, or like the characters thinking about things in a way that I wouldn't have. Like, it's fine. I still had a good time reading it. I still enjoyed the book, and so while I would maybe give it 3 stars as like an objective review, like it's a good enough book. It is not great. But my enjoyment of it was 4 stars. I had a good time. I was engaged by the story, and yeah, I had a good time with it. It was just what I needed at this time. It was engaging enough and fun enough and lighthearted enough without being fluffy, and so yeah, I enjoyed it. If you have read this book, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you haven't, I would love to know if you think that you will. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you did, and I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Not Leanne. Leanne Moriarty.